Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Can I please ask you to give Nazmira some, um, give Nazmira rights to unmute her mic and share her screen?
Samira.
Nazmira.
Let me try to find her.
Good evening, colleagues.
Evening, Joseph.
Evening, Daddy.
How are you?
Fine, thanks in yourself.
We're fine.
I'm trying to find Samira and open her mic in the day.
So it is Nazmira Ismail.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I did something here. Let me just correct this. Zahira, can you try to share? You should be able to share. Okay. Zahira? And Marisa?
Hi,
Yes,
Joseph.
yes. I think
Okay.
Nazmira can be able to share.
Okay, who's
Yes.
supposed to share?
Myself. Thank you. I just got the ability to do so now.
Nazmira. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, can I get started? Is that fine?
Yeah, and then Zahira, are you able to do the same?
Okay, so no, I'm not able to share, but that is fine. Nazmira will do the sharing.
Okay.
So yeah, that is okay. As long as I'm able to unmute and talk, that would be fine.
All right. No, thanks then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Joseph. Can I start?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry, we meant to start at 6 p.m., but there's always technical difficulties that we need to get through. I think that's part of our lives at this point. So please excuse us for being 1 minute late, but I'm going to get started. So thank you all for joining this class this evening. I do see that we have around 30, just over 30 people online. So that's great. Obviously, you guys are on time, so I'm going to respect that and I'm going to start. I'm not going to wait for anyone. This class is being recorded, so anyone who misses anything can catch up. So again, just thank you for joining this evening. We are going to be discussing study unit 15 this evening, and I'm going to get started on my side. So just in terms...
No, sorry, Nazmira.
Mm-hmm.
Can we please try to see if students are hearing you by maybe show of hands?
Okay, sure. If we can please all use the raise hand function just to show that you are able to hear us.
Definitely, it's okay, I think.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, you guys can lower your hands then. I think it is fine. I do see the question from Joanne, sorry. My presentation is actually quite short. It's more of an introduction, and then I'm going to focus on the question itself. So if you want me to share, I'm happy to do so, but I don't know if you're going to want it. Let's just wait and see what happens and take it from there. Okay, but then just to introduce myself and my fellow presenter this evening, my name is Nazmira Ismail. I currently work at BDO in the Audit Technical Training Division. My role is basically to train our trainees, and we teach them, we basically give them the auditing knowledge they would need. I got my CA, or I qualified as a CA in 2017. 2016, 2017 is when I wrote boards. And I have been, I think my passion lies with, imparting knowledge and coaching and mentoring trainees. I specifically love seeing trainees grow in their roles and move from, kind of being students, getting to their CAs, etc. So this is definitely where my passion lies, which is why I love doing e-tutoring as well. I specifically loved accounting when I was studying, so that is definitely one of my areas of interest. And yeah, so that's why I'm here tonight. Wanted you to know me a little bit more, and then I'll give you an opportunity now to hear from Zahira, and she can introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Nazmira. Good evening, everyone. My name is Zahira Ali. I am a general manager in finance at the Automobile Association of South Africa. I am both a qualified chartered accountant as well as a chartered global management accountant with CIMA. A little bit more about me is, okay, so anyway, I qualified as a CA about 10 years ago. Yeah. And my passion is also seeing people grow. I'm not in the training field. However, I've been a manager and I mentor quite a few students now, even after I've left, the audit industry. I am now in the finance industry, and basically that's a little bit about me. And yeah, back to Nazmira. Thank you.
Thanks, Zahira. I appreciate it. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's move then on to the house rules for tonight. Oops, sorry, my mouse seems to be doing something weird there. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about the house rules just before we get started, just so that everyone's on the same page. Firstly, if you are experiencing any connectivity issues, or you stop hearing me, or whatever the case may be, what I find is best is to just leave the call and come back in. That usually helps. If it's a me problem, Zahira will let me know as well, and that's the reason why I have a co-facilitator helping me out tonight. So if there's any connectivity issues on my end, please just bear with me. I'll also do the same. I'll leave the call and I'll come back in. If it's a connectivity issue on your side, try the same thing on your side, and then do bear in mind that there is a recording that will be made available. So if you do miss a big chunk of it due to load shedding or connectivity issues or whatever the case may be, then you can refer to the recording at a later stage. On the notes of the recording, just a reminder that this will be made available. I did see in the chat that was posted as well, so you will be able to access it later. With regards to questions, and I'm going to jump a little bit to one of the other points as well, is I want to urge you to please, ask us questions, interact with us. The more you interact with us, the more focused you'll stay. I know that it's late in the evening. Some of you might have gotten back from work and you're tired, but the more you interact with us, the easier it will be for you to focus and take as much away from this class as possible. So again, interact with us using the chat function. And if you have any questions, Zahira will either try and answer you in the chat, or she'll alert me to the question, and then I will answer it as soon as I can. Okay, then just a reminder that we need to respect each other on the call and in the chat. I do realize that you guys are not able to unmute, so I think from that end we won't have any disruptions, which is good. But on the other hand, we also need to be respectful in our chat, etc. So please just, let's just respect each other as well. If there's any questions unrelating to the topic tonight, we will have to answer you at a late stage, or you will have to post it in your e-tutor groups. But we are going to focus on the specific content relating study unit 15 tonight. Okay. Then I know that it's difficult to concentrate for 2 hours all at once. So somewhere around the 1 hour mark, I will see if I can give you guys a quick break so we can get a caffeine rush in, so that we can all refresh ourselves. I spoke about, interacting with us and the importance of that. And then I think another important element for me is you need to know what you want to take out of the session. So obviously you've received this invite. You were told that we're going to be discussing question 1. And my assumption is that, you guys are joining tonight having prepared for the class. So I think for me, the most important thing is that you should know already what you need to get out of this class. And if I don't cover that, then you need to ask those questions and you need to make sure that you are interacting with me to make sure that you get what you need to get out of the session. And then just the last thing for me is silence means agreement. So as I go through the question, I will pause and ask if you guys are okay, if you're following me, if you have any questions. And when I ask, when I pause to ask you guys if you're okay, I'll probably just give it a few seconds before I carry on. If I don't hear from you, in my head, I'm assuming that you understand and that I can move on. So if you don't interact with me, I don't know that I need to say anything. Okay. So again, please interact with me when needed. Like I said, Zahira is manning the chat for me. So we will take it as it comes. Okay. Then, I mean, accounting, yes, accounting is fun for me. Maybe not so much for you guys at this point. So I just wanted to give us a little bit of humor to get us going. I think, sometimes humor helps to open our brains a little bit. And I love SpongeBob. But yeah, you might think that you have no idea what's happening with regards to the accounting content. But, accounting is debits and credits at the end of the day. And at the end of this class, I'm really hoping that you will be more comfortable with financial statements, what financial statements are about in terms of the objective, and kind of, the basics of how to draft them. So I'm really hoping that my class today is going to give you a little bit more insight into financial statements, and hopefully you won't be having nails in your head the way Squidward does. Okay. Awesome. So in terms of the content that we are going to be covering, it is question 1 of study unit 15, the e-tutor question for that matter. The required, we're going to cover part A and part B, and I will do this step by step. So I'm going to first go through part A step by step, and then I'll work through part B step by step. So the required just states, calculate the total comprehensive income or loss of Moon traders for the year ended 31 March 2005. And then B, prepare the statement of financial position of Moon traders as at 31 March 2005. Now, again, I'm hoping that this is a study unit that you guys have already gone through, that you guys have studied. I think it was on the study plan for last week or week before, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that you've also prepared for the class so that, you are able to ask me whatever questions you need to ask me as well. The required makes note to the fact that all calculations must be shown. Now, I know in you guys' case, your assessments are multiple choice. So now you sit back and you say, well, why must we show our calculations? I'm going to show you why. I'm going to walk through this question step by step and show you why it's still beneficial for you, yourself, when you have a question sitting in front of you, to jot down what you're doing and show your calculations and structure your answer. Because by doing that, it helps you, firstly, to learn the concepts, but also you might get it right now. And then 2 days later, when you're revising just before the assessment, now you're looking at what you've done. And now you're like, oh, wait, I can't remember what I did. So structuring your own answer, showing your calculations, making it easier for yourself also helps you with learning the concepts. So, sorry, and then one last thing that I want to say before I actually get into the question is if I'm going too fast and you feel like you want me to slow down or you want me to repeat anything or there's a concept that you want me to go over again, please, by all means, I do not mind at all. So you just have to stop me by using the chat function and ask me to repeat or to explain something again. Okay, I really don't mind that. Okay, so at this point, I am going to move off the slides and I'm going to go into the actual question. And I'm going to work through that with you step by step as though we're doing it together in class. So just from this point on, everyone still with me? Everyone okay? Any questions at this point? Okay, I see some thumbs up, so that's great. Okay, sorry. All right, let's get going. So we've read through the required. I'm just going to remind you of what required number A says. It says calculate the total comprehensive income or loss of Moon Traders for the year ended 31 March 2005 rather. We can see that in the question, they've given us the general ledger balances before any adjustments were made as at 31 March 2005. So we have all of these line items that they've given us. They have also given us some additional information relating to what's sitting here at the top in terms of these line items. So what I've done in preparation for tonight, just in terms of saving time, is I've created the skeleton for you, and that's how I plan to work through it. And this is what I'm saying to you guys as well, is that when you're faced with a question, it's worthwhile to do exactly what I've done here. Starting point, what is my answer going to look like? How do I need to structure my question so that at the same time I'm structuring my thought process? That's what you need to be saying to yourself. Okay, so number one, what is this question asking for? It's asking for the total comprehensive income as at year end. Cool. That's essentially what I'm working towards. What does that look like? And that's exactly what I've done. I've drawn up a skeleton where I've said income, expenses, profit. And that's essentially what we're looking for, right? So before I even go into the information here, I already know that this is what my answer needs to look like. And by doing this, it makes it easier for me to learn the concepts. But also tomorrow, when I'm revising for the assessment, it's easy for me to come back and see what I've done and then be like, oh yeah, cool, that's what I need to do. Okay, so even though your assessments are multiple choice, my advice, structure your answers in a structured manner so that it enables you to learn the concepts more easily. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go through this line by line, and I'm going to show you how you need to work through a question like this on your own, right? So the first thing we have here in the table is rental income. First question that I need to ask myself, is this an income or an expense? So in other words, does it belong in the total comprehensive income calculation? Yes, it does. It's income.
Sorry, Nias, to disturb you. Can you make your screen slightly bigger by any chance?
Okay, I can try. It's just that I'm sharing two documents at the same time, so it's a little bit difficult. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that is a bit better. But
And
are
then
you
on
going to be able to work through both?
I will be able to, on the Excel, are you able to see, or does that need to be bigger as well?
No, I think that is fine.
Okay, I think I'm able to go until there, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll just scroll around here. That's fine. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, rental income, does it belong in the calculation for total comprehensive income? In my mind, yes, it does. Okay. It is income, so it belongs under income. Cool. Put that down already, right? Stationery. Okay. Does it belong in my total comprehensive income calculation? No, not necessarily. Stationery is an asset. It's not an income or an expense, so it doesn't go there. Cool. Capital. Capital is equity. It belongs on my statement of financial position. Is it income? No. Is it an expense? No. So it doesn't belong in my calculation. Move on. Drawings. Drawings is a reduction of capital, which sits in your equity. Again, is it an income? No. Is it an expense? Nope. Move on. Accumulated depreciation. Okay. Does this fit into my total comprehensive income calculation? The answer is no. It's actually a reduction of property, plant, equipment. But the fact that I'm seeing accumulated depreciation here means that I have depreciation that I need to account for. So that means that this is probably going to be an expense that I need to look at. So put it down, depreciation. Commission income. Is it income? Yes, it is. Let's put it in. Yeah. Then we have credit losses. Okay. Credit losses, is that an income? No. Is it an expense? Absolutely. Okay. It's a reduction of my trade debtors balance at year end. It's a loss for me. I'm taking a loss because I'm expecting my debtor not to pay me, and therefore it's a loss to my company. The revenue or the income that I was supposed to have gotten from this person, I'm no longer getting it, which means it's an expense, right? So we put credit losses in there. Then we go property. Property is an asset, doesn't belong in this calculation. Equipment and bank, similarly, are assets, don't belong in this calculation. Trade receivables control, same thing. It's an asset, does not belong in this calculation as yet. Right. Interest on mortgage. Is that an income? Nope, but it is an expense. Okay, I'm paying interest. It's money out of my firm or money out of my company. So interest on mortgage is an expense. Okay, municipal tax, absolutely, it's an expense. Put it down. Okay, insurance, absolutely, it's an expense. I'm paying money for that. Put it down. Mortgage is a liability. It's the capital liability that I owe to the bank or whoever I took this mortgage bond from. So is it an expense? No. Is it an income? No, it's a liability. So we don't need it yet. And then water and electricity, is this an expense? Absolutely. Okay, so we put that down here as well. Okay, remember, as you've seen, I haven't touched the numbers as yet. I've looked at my question, and I've decided what needs to go where. That's all I've done so far. Everyone with me? So far. Yeah, I do see some hands.
There is a few hands, Nazmira.
Okay, sorry, Zara, I do see that. My apologies. And I do see a question in the chat as well. How is stationery not an expense? Okay, cool. And I see Zara has answered that. So if you're happy with that answer, then I'm good. And then I see we have a hand from, sorry, I'm just, my Teams is stuck now and I'm not able to see this name. Okay, and the hand has disappeared.
Yeah, also on my side, I cannot see the hand anymore. Yeah, so then I guess we can move on if everybody else is happy.
Okay, cool. Just on the note of stationery, I know there's something else with regards to stationery that's coming up in this question. So maybe if your mind is not yet at ease, just wait there. I'm gonna explain it again in a little more detail now. Okay. Awesome. All right, let me just go back here. Sorry, my team screen is now stuck on this side. Okay, cool. So now I've just added into my skeleton. Now I need to go and put in my numbers. Great stuff. I don't want to do that without the additional information though. Remember these amounts here at the top, they've given it to us before any adjustments were posted, right? And they specifically told us that. So is it right for me to just take 64,000 and put it under rental income? The answer is no. I need to see if there were any adjustments that need to be taken into account. And that's where the additional information comes in. So let's go through the additional information one by one, okay? So the first one says, Moon Traders, you know what, I'm gonna have to actually just zoom out one, if that's okay. Try and make this 150 and see if that works. Because I'm gonna then keep scrolling like a crazy person. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so number one says Moon Traders had 5 tenants, each paying different rental amounts. At the end of March, which is year end, one of Moon Traders' tenants owed 2 months' rent to the enterprise. Their monthly rental payable by the tenant is 1750, which means that this tenant owed money for February and March, right? And this tenant owed 1750 per month. So what we need to do is say 1750 multiplied by 2 and essentially add that to rental income, because it means that it was never taken into account in rental income. Remember, the question specifically says this is pre-adjustment, right? And they're clearly telling us here that at year end, this tenant had not paid for the months of February and March. So what I need to do now is I need to go to my calculations, equals to 64,000 plus 1750 multiplied by 2. And that's my amount. I may still have another adjustment for rental income. I'm not sure yet. But for now, this is what I'm able to put into my calculations. Okay. I'm just seeing the chat. Sarah has it under control. Okay, cool. Awesome. Right? Rental income. Have I covered everything with regards to point number 1? I want to think about this though, because remember, part B of the required says that I need to consider, or I need to present the statement of financial position. So while I'm going through the additional information, surely I should keep my mind on part B of this required. I mean, I don't want to have to reread this additional information again or work through it again. I'm wasting my time. I'm being inefficient, right? So now already looking at point 1.1, okay, would this affect any of my line items on my statement of financial position? I think it could. So posing a question to you guys in order to help keep you focused, what do you think? What line item on the statement of financial position does 1.1 actually affect? Yes. Okay. So income, 100%. Remember, we've added it into income. Okay. Accrued income is definitely the correct answer. Where does accrued income go and sit in my statement of financial position? Absolutely. Right? It's a current asset. Why is it a current asset? This person hasn't paid me. They need to pay me. I've offered them a service. I've allowed them to stay in my property and they owe me that money. That means it's an asset to me. As my company, I'm entitled to this money. Therefore, I have an asset, right? So it will sit under current assets. So already, because I'm now dealing with part A, but I already have some insight in terms of part B, I'm going to put down a note here. Okay, debtors, right? It affects the trade debtors balance. Cool, we've got that written down. All right, point number 2. Stationery on hand at 31 March 2005 amounted to 1550. Remember, we said stationery is an asset, right? It's not an expense, guys. It's an asset. If I have stationery, that's something that I can use in my business. Okay, it is an asset. I'm using it over time. Okay, therefore it is an asset. However, if I go here to the top, my stationery amount before adjustments was 3,350. Now I'm being told that my actual stationery on hand after it's been counted is only 1,550. That means that I have used up stationery for a specific amount, or I've lost that stationery, right? One way or another, something happened and there was a loss now. So I've either used up the stationery or it was stolen or whatever the case may be. Point is, I might have taken a loss on this, right? So, ooh, what have I done now? Okay, I do apologize for that. Okay. So now stationery becomes an expense. Okay, so the line item stationery in your trial balance is an asset. It's not an expense. But as soon as they tell you, hold on, you actually used up some of your stationery is no longer there, now it becomes an expense. Let's think about the concept of depreciation. Okay, I have a car, it's an asset. I'm able to use it as part of my business. So I have a car, it's an asset, and I'm using that car on a daily basis. It's losing value as I use it. Therefore, I incur depreciation as the expense. Stationery is exactly the same concept. It's an asset. I'm using it in my business, and I'm using it to help me generate income. However, at the end of the day, I might use up 10 pens, 5 erasers, 20 notebooks, whatever the case may be. I'm using that up throughout the year. That means that as I use it, I'm incurring that loss. So as I'm using it, surely I need to record something similar to depreciation. And the difference is the actual amount of stationery that I've used. So in my calculation, I now go 3350 minus what I actually have at year end. And the difference is my expense that I need to record. It means that during this year, I have used up 1,800 Rand worth of stationery. Everyone with me? Awesome. Okay, cool. Right. With regards to 1.2, let's just consider, does it affect my statement of financial position line item amounts? Absolutely. Stationery is recorded at 1550 in my statement of financial position. Do I need to make notes of anything at this point? No. Okay. Okay, I do see there's a hand. Oliver, I'm sorry, is that the correct name? But then Joseph, I don't know if we are allowed to have them unmute because obviously they're not able to unmute. So how does this work in terms of the raise hand function?
Guys, at this point, considering you are unable to unmute yourself, please put your question in the chat and I will ask Niaz the question out loud and she will respond accordingly, or I will respond in the chat if it needs to be covered that way. So,
Nazmira, sorry if I may come in. We can unmute the students for you.
Okay.
But I'm not sure whether you will be able to finish your question, because if we allow them to ask questions now, I hope there won't be many.
Okay, perfect. So I think guys, let's do this. Let's put the questions as we go along in the chat, right? Whatever Zara is able to answer in the chat for us, brilliant. If you feel it's not something that can be typed out and you feel like, you know, you'd rather want to say it out loud, make a note of it on your side, write it down in a notebook somewhere that you have with you. Guys, by the way, I hope you all have notebook and pen with you and you're taking notes. But nonetheless, write it down, make a note of it, and then what we can do is, if we have time at the end of the class, then Joseph can allow you to unmute and we can then answer your questions. Okay. All right. So going forward, I am going to ignore the hands, although you guys can keep it raised. If you still want to ask the question at the end of class, we will then allow you to unmute. If possible, and you can utilize the chat, then I would suggest doing that. Okay. Let's see, there's a comment about the stationery and if that can be explained again. Okay, and another question with regards to the rental income. Okay. All right, let me just go back to the stationery first. So stationery is an asset. Let's compare it to a car. Okay. I have stationery and I have a car, right? I'm utilizing the car to deliver food. I have a food business and I'm using the car to deliver food. So the car is helping me earn income, right? Now I have stationery. Stationery is also an asset. Okay. I am not able to have a food business without pen and paper that I'm able to take orders on. I need a filing system. So I need files, I need pens, I need notebooks, whatever the case may be, right? Stationery, we all need stationery. It's part of every business. But at the end of the day, it's an asset. Okay. If I have 30 pens, 20 staplers, rulers, books at year end, those are all assets that I'm able to utilize in my business, right? It's an asset. I own it. It's mine. Similarly to the car, right? Now, when I use the car, I'm recording depreciation because like with the car, you can't say, okay, cool, this year I used the tires, next year I'm going to use the engine, right? You use the car and you can't say what part of the car you utilized within a year. So the only way to record the loss on the car in terms of what you're using is to record depreciation. But with stationery, it's easy. Stationery, I can say I had 30 pens at the beginning of the year. During the year, I used 10 of those pens and I only have 20 pens left. So I want to know the value of those 10 pens because that's my expense. That is what I've used. What I've used is the expense. So stationery itself is not the expense. The expense is what of the stationery have I used. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Then just going back to the 67,500, okay, it's basically my commission income before adjustments. And they've told us that at year end, a tenant has not paid us for 2 months. So what I've done is I've said 1750 multiplied by 2 gives you 3,500 Rand. I've added that to the 64,000 and that's how I get the 67,500. Okay, and then the question that says, will the stationery in hand be added to the inventories in the statement of financial position? Absolutely, and I'm going to show you that when we get there. Okay. All right. The next part, or number 3 rather, says commission income of 750 Rand was earned for April and May 2005. Remember, April and May is after year end, right? So now I have, sorry, my mouse is stuck. Sorry, please just bear with me. Oh, sorry, guys, my entire laptop is stuck now. And I'm not able to go to my Excel spreadsheet. I don't know what's going on. Does this have to happen while we're having a class?
Okay, would you like me to share instead, Niaz?
No, that's fine. So I'm just gonna give it a second because I can see something spinning here, and I'm just giving it a second.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Sorry, it's back. I do apologize. My laptop seems to smell fear. So, okay. So we said that commission income of 750 Rand was earned for April and May. April and May is post year end. We know that, right? So that means that sitting within my commission income in my trial balance is amounts that relate to the next financial year, meaning that I need to remove it, okay? Because it's not relevant to my current financial year. So now I have to say, what's my commission income currently on my trial balance? My commission income is 2,700. And then I know that 700, or rather I've been told that 750 Rand relates to the next financial year. So it doesn't need to be there anymore. I need to remove it from commission income. So that's what I do. 2,700 minus 750 Rand gives me 1,950 Rand. Okay. At this point, I now sit back and say, does this commission income of 750, the fact that it was sitting in next year's, or rather it relates to next year, does it have anything to do with my statement of financial position? I think it does, right? I think that it's a trade payable. Why do you think it's a trade payable? Correct. It's prepaid income. Okay. You have paid or prepaid. So someone has paid you in advance. Okay. You have not yet given them the service, but they have given you the money. So technically, you owe them now, right? I'm sitting with their money, but I'm not entitled to that money because I haven't yet given them the service. They've paid me in advance out of the goodness of their heart. So now I owe them something. Either I owe them their money in return, or I owe them a service. Either way, I'm indebted to them. Therefore, it sits as a current liability under trade and other payables. Okay, I hope you're all with me. What I'm going to do even at this point as I'm going through my question, which is what you should do as well as you guys are going through your questions when you're doing these at home alone, I'm going to put a note for myself and say payables. Then I need to take that into account. Okay. Right, 1.4. Debtor D pursued disappeared. Management decided to write his debt amounting to 2,650 off as irrecoverable. But I know that I already have credit losses up here at the top, right? I have credit losses to an amount of 1,600 Rand. So already I knew that some of my debts were going to be bad. So 1,600 plus the additional 2,650 Rand of Mr. Pursue, who has now disappeared. And I now have total credit losses to the amount of 4,250 Rand. Does this affect any of the line items on my statement of financial position? Absolutely. It affects debtors. We can see that. We know that. It literally says that to us. Debtor, right? So we know that an additional amount must be taken off trade debtors. But I'm going to put a note for myself anyway. Oops. I used the wrong note, but nonetheless, debtors. Yeah. Right. 1.5. Provision should still be made for depreciation on equipment at 10% per annum on the diminishing balance method. That means my accumulated depreciation on equipment was as at the previous year, okay? And it's saying that for the current year, I still need to calculate the depreciation on equipment. Question though, I seem to have two properties on my trial balance. I have property and I have equipment. I need to calculate the depreciation for the equipment, but what about the property? Can anyone tell me why we would not have depreciation on the property?
Yes, can you please repeat the question? Some people did not get it completely.
Sure. Okay, so what I'm saying is that 1.5 is telling me that I still need to calculate depreciation on equipment, right? That's fine, I'll do that. But I'm saying that on my trial balance, I seem to have two assets, one being property and the other one being equipment. And my question is, why do you think I don't need to calculate depreciation on the property? What would be the reason for that? Okay, see a comment saying it appreciates instead of depreciates. I wish. Okay, not entirely correct in terms of your answers there. So let me explain, right? The property is at fair value. We see that written there in brackets, right? Property, there is by the way, depreciation on property. Land is the one that's not depreciation. So don't get confused between property and land. If you have land, no depreciation. Property is usually a building, right? But because we see that in brackets it says fair value, means that it is being held by the company at fair value. And I'm not sure if this is in study unit, for, the study unit around PPE, whether it goes into detail. But when an asset is held at fair value, what usually happens is that every year they reevaluate the fair value. So every year they look at this property and say, either it's increased in value or it's decreased in value. If it's increased in value, it's recorded as an income. If it's decreased in value, it's recorded as an expense, right? But there wouldn't be depreciation because of that reason, because every year you would reevaluate the fair value and then your amount would change, and that change would affect either the income or the expense. Hence, we don't depreciate. Okay. So when you see something is being held at fair value, there is no depreciation on that. Okay. All right, but let's go and do the depreciation for the equipment. Right. So remember, they wanted a diminishing balance method. Diminishing balance method says that you take the cost, so we're going to take 34,000 Rand, and you minus accumulated depreciation, so we're going to minus 15,000. And that amount, 34 minus 15, is your depreciable amount, okay? So now that I have my depreciable amount, I can go and I can multiply it by the depreciation rate, which they've given us at 10%. And I get to the amount of 1,900 for depreciation on my equipment. Okay, everyone still with me up to this point? I do see that there's some questions coming into the chat. Zahira, I don't know if you're able to answer all of them, but what I am going to do is, Zahira, if you can make a note of the ones that you're not able to answer at this point, and then maybe once I'm done with part A, we can get there, or if we seem to be running short of time, then we can leave it for the end.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. I will make a note, though. If
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, I do see there's a comment with regards to repeating what I've said about depreciation. So I will do that, no problem. The question says that depreciation on equipment is calculated using the diminishing balance method, right? If it was the straight method, then you would have just taken the equipment at cost multiplied by 10%. But because it's the diminishing balance method, you first have to take the cost less accumulated depreciation to get to the depreciable amount, and then you multiply by 10%. So that's exactly what I've done. Here's the cost of my equipment, 34,000. The accumulated depreciation up until the starting of the current year is 15,000 Rand. So I said 34 minus 15, and then I multiply by the depreciation rate of 10%. Okay. Awesome. Let's go to additional information number 6. The water and electricity account for March 2005 amounting to 310 Rand has not yet been paid. Okay. So now my year end is end of March. Now it's specifically telling me, hold on, you've only paid water and electricity up until the end of February. You still owe for March. So you haven't yet paid us. You have taken our services, but you have not yet paid us, right? So what I need to do now is I need to take water and electricity and I need to add an amount of 310 Rand to that. So water and electricity, as per my trial balance, 2,750. So equals to 2,750 plus the amount for March, which I still owe to the municipality, 310 Rand. Therefore, water and electricity for the full year, 3,060 Rand. Okay. At this point, number 1.6, do I have anything that affects my statement of financial position? Yes, I do. I owe money to the municipality. It's a trade payable. It's a liability, right? So already I'm going to go and I'm going to make a note of this. Payables. Okay. Now I don't have to come back and reread this and understand it. I already know. Right. 1.7. The insurance premium for April 2005 was paid in advance. The premiums are paid in equal monthly amounts. Now I've paid something in advance. Okay. So I've paid for April, which is outside of my financial period. It's in the next financial period. Do I want it in my books? No, I don't. It's not relevant to my current financial period. So insurance, right, in my trial balance, pre-adjustment trial balance, 2,405. So equals to 2,405. And then it tells me that I've paid in advance, right? So currently what's sitting there is the 2,405. Oh, sorry. Okay, cool. Sorry. Okay. And remember my 2,405 was paid for 13 months because it's taken April into account. Okay. So what I need to now go and do is I need to say 2,405 minus 2,405 divided by 13. So only 1 month of it. And I get to this amount. I'll re-explain. 2,405 is my pre-adjustment balance. But the question is clearly telling me that I've paid for April also, which means that 2,405 is for 13 months. In order for me to evaluate the value of 1 month's worth of insurance, I need to divide that by 13. So I say 2,405 divided by 13, and that's the amount that I need to minus in order for me to get an amount that's for 12 months. Everyone with me there? Okay. Stefani's asking a question, would it be wrong to say 2,405 divided by 13 times 12? Not at all, right? Your calculation is just a different way of writing it compared to mine. You would get to the exact same answer. Yours takes into consideration that old, one of the old kind of tricks that I used to use in accounting, where it says multiply by what you have divided by what you're looking for. I'm sorry, divided by what you have multiplied by what you're looking for. Okay. And that's exactly what you've done, which is the exact same thing. Okay. And then Gift says, where did you get the 13 months? It specifically tells us that the insurance premium for April was included. Therefore, it means that I've paid that 2,405 is for 13 months because it includes April as well. Okay. All right. Can you see what I've done already? Is I can already see that as I'm going through this question, I'm making progress in terms of my structure. So now my question or my calculations, my question, my thought process is nice and structured. It's not all over the place, right? I'm able to follow through one thing at a time. And can you see what I was saying? That it's so much easier if you just structure your answer. Just give a few seconds of thought in terms of what does my answer need to look like? And you can already see that as I'm going through this, we can see that our answer is getting more and more meat. And you can see that you're already kind of sitting with an answer, even though we're not done yet, right? But this is what I'm talking about. It's easier for you to learn the concepts and easier for you to refer back to at a later stage when you are able to structure your answers in this way. Okay. The fact that I paid in advance, right? What does that mean? It means that somebody owes me something, right? I've paid you for services that you have not yet given me. So you owe me. I have an asset now. I'm sitting with an asset now, right? I have somebody who's owing me money, which means that this is a trade debtor, okay? So they either owe me my money back or they owe me a service. But at the end of the day, this is a debtor. I go and I make note of that. Okay. Then I have number 8 saying interest at 10.5% per annum on the mortgage, March 2005, should still be provided for. I already have interest on the mortgage of 23,870. So now I need to include March's there because apparently March has not been included. Cool, let's go and do that. Equals to, what's my current interest on the mortgage? 23,870 plus, and then my mortgage amount, my total mortgage being the liability is 248,000. And then it's telling me that interest is 10.5%. So multiplied by 10.5%, multiplied by 1 month, divided by 12 months, because remember 10.5% is for a full year. We want to prorata that for only 1 month of the year. And I get an amount of 240,870. Yeah.
You made a mistake. I think you must out the percentage sign in 10.5.
Thank you. I was wondering why that amount looks so wrong. Thanks, Ira. I appreciate it. Okay. If you wanted to test whether this was correct, because I actually made a mistake this afternoon when I was prepping, but nonetheless, I'll show you a little trick. you can actually test whether this is correct. So if I take the amount of 248,000 and I multiply it by 10.5% for the full year, I get 26040. So now at least I know that what I've done is correct. Okay. Awesome. So now I've gotten to the end of my additional information, but I have a structure here. Okay. And something is still showing is 0. What is it? Municipal taxes. Municipal taxes to the amount of 4,333. Awesome. Because the additional information says nothing about municipal taxes, it means that nothing happened with municipal taxes, or there was no adjustments that needed to be taken into account, and therefore my amount goes in as per the pre-adjustment trial balance. Okay. So now I look at my structure. Has there anything else been identified in terms of additional information? Absolutely. We were able to add in stationery, right? Because we realized there was actually a loss in the stationery. Was I able to put in amounts for everything else that I previously identified? Yep. That means I'm done. That means I have my answer, right? Did we see anything about other comprehensive income? Was there a revaluation on the property or anything like that? The answer is no. And therefore, my total comprehensive income is 25,847. And if I just follow my structure and I then work through my question step by step, right? That gave me my answer. That's literally what my answer is. And remember, all I said was structure your answer, work through it step by step, and there you go. Is everyone with me? I hope so. I hope that you can see that doing it in this way definitely helps to make it easier for you. Okay. And then I do see the comment about please explaining the mortgage again. Sure, no problem. So it specifically said that the interest for March still needed to be taken into account, right? So currently, my interest on the mortgage is 23,870 rand. I then take the full liability amount, multiply it by my interest rate. Remember, your interest rate is for a full year. Therefore, I only need for 1 year, and therefore I multiply that by 1/12. So I'm pro-rataing it. I'm basically saying 10.5% times 1 month divided by 12 months, multiplied by my actual liability amount, and I'm adding that to what is currently my interest on the mortgage. If you want, I can do that for you in a longer method, I guess. So we can say 248,000 times 10.5%. I then take this amount. I then take this amount equals to that amount times by 1 divided by 12. So now this is my interest per month. I then take my 23,870 plus my 1 month's worth of interest, and I basically get back to that answer. Okay, so unknown user, a little confused about the mortgage interest, please elaborate. You feel it should be added, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I am adding it. I've literally added 1 month's worth of interest to what was given to you as the interest. Okay. And then Sarah, you can answer the other ones coming through there. If you're not able to, I'll pick it up at a later stage.
I will answer them in the chat. I am able to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, cool. So that is part A of the question, right? We then have to get to part B. I do note that we are about 50 minutes into the class, and I kind of want to give you guys a bit of a break before we get into part B. So Joseph, if it's okay with you, can I give them an 8-minute break and we carry on again at 7 p.m.?
I think it's fine, but we can hear from the lecturer, Mr. Marisa,
Okay, sure.
if he's okay with it.
No, it's fine. No problem with that.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. And then while we take this break, Zara, I'll help you with some of the questions in the chat if you want. Okay, I'll see you all back on the call at 7 p.m. Please grab a cup of coffee, rub your eyes a bit, and I'll be back at 7 p.m. Okay, are we all back? Please use the raise hand function just so that I can see some responses coming through to show that you are all back. Okay, yes, the recording will be posted, so don't worry about that. Just to quickly note, Zahira is actually struggling with the chat in the background. So you know, it's easy to use that reply button to reply to a specific message, but for some reason Zahira seems unable to use the reply button. I'm not sure if the lecturer can maybe help out with that. I don't know if it's something to do with her rights that she's been given in terms of the call. But she's struggling to reply to individual messages. So she's basically just posting her messages. So just a note to the students, Zahira will answer your question. She's just not replying to individual questions. So please just keep an eye on what she's saying. If it's relevant to your question, then obviously that is your answer.
Thank you for that, Mies. I left the meeting and I joined again, and it seems like it's now working. So I will now respond individually.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Zahira. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. Let's then carry on. So the next part of the required, as we remember, was part B, right? Part B, just to remind you, sorry, scrolled too much. Part B said, prepare the statement of financial position of Moon Traders as at 31 March 2005. Okay, again, my advice is structure your answer, right? So already start asking yourself in your mind, they want me to prepare the statement of financial position. What does a statement of financial position look like? What is the skeleton of the statement? Put it down, write it down, draw it down. So whether you're using Excel like I'm doing now, or whether you're using a notebook and a pen, it doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't matter, right? Do it in a structured way so that you make your life easier, right? So already we know that a statement of financial position consists of assets, equity, and liabilities. And we know our accounting equation states that assets equals to owner's equity plus liabilities, which means that our total assets, right, must equal to our total liabilities plus equity. That means this amount here and this amount here must equal each other, right? And that's what we mean when we say that a statement of financial position must balance. And again, the reason for that is because your basic accounting equation states assets is equals to owner's equity plus liabilities. And I'm going to put that for you in the chat, just in case you want to refer back to it. Assets equals to owner's equity plus liabilities. And honestly, guys, that is what accounting is built on. If you want to go back to the building block, the first cell of accounting, what started accounting is that equation. Assets equals to owner's equity plus liabilities. And everything accounting related comes from that. Okay. So statement of financial position. I now need to go back to my question and identify all of my assets, identify all of my equity, and identify all of my liabilities. So let's do that. Okay. Rental income. Is it an asset? No. Is it a liability? No. Is it equity? No. It's income. And I've already put it in my statement of profit or loss at the top. So can I ignore this? Absolutely. Stationery. Okay, we've already ascertained from my previous explanations that stationery is an asset, right? And I hope you guys are all with me now in terms of that. Okay, stationery is something that I use in my business, right? In order to generate income. It helps me. It helps me to make notes, etc., etc. Okay, stationery is a current asset. Why is it current? Because I'm using it every single day. Okay, so already stationery, it's under inventory, I know that, equals to 3350. Okay, putting it as part of my calculations, I'm going to come back now, right? Was there any additional information? And I've put it there. Now I ask myself, was there any additional information with regards to stationery? Yes, there was. 1.2 stated Stationery on hand at 31 March 2005 amounted to 1550. Okay, cool. So it's not 3350, it's 1550. They've given us the answer. Brilliant. Inventory, the value of 1550 in my statement of financial position. Okay, let's go back to our table. Capital. Yay, capital is equity, right? So under equity, capital, right? My capital amount equals to 149,000. Here we go. Okay. But now we go back to the table and we see that the next line item is drawings. Okay. What is drawings? Drawings is when I, as the owner, take money out of my business. So capital is when I put money into my business. Drawings is when I take money out of my business. And that's obvious. Why would I have a business if not to earn money? So obviously, at the end of the day, I'm going to take something back from my business in order to live, right? So capital, yeah, you can literally write it there so that you yourself don't forget in your own workings. Capital less drawings, right? So minus 6084. But now while we're here with regards to capital, what else goes into capital? Anyone want to try and give me an answer on this? Besides reducing it with the drawings, what else is taken into account in your capital calculation? Okay, exactly, income and expenses, so essentially profit, right? So what was our profit from the previous question? Sorry, my laptop's now stuck again. Okay, profit was 25,847. So yeah, in my calculation, I'm going to add profit 25,847. Okay, and my amount for capital is then 168,763. Let's just unpack this again. Capital is money that I, as the owner, has put into the business as my startup, right? I decided to open up this business, and I knew that opening up this business means that I had to buy some furniture, I needed to buy a car, I needed to buy a property, I needed to buy stationery, inventory, whatever the case may be, okay? And all of that costs money. So I put that in as capital, right? Then every year, my business makes a profit, which means that my business is increasing. The value of my business is increasing year on year by whatever profit I'm making, right? So I've added in my profit. If I was making a loss, it means that my business is decreasing. I, as the owner, am losing money. So if it was a loss, I would have minused it, okay? And then I'm obviously minusing what I'm taking out from the business. Okay, if you just think about this logically, is that if I make a profit of 25,000 Rand, I've taken away 6,000 Rand of that profit, which means that essentially I'm left with 19,000 Rand to add back into my business. And that's what equity is. It's what you as the owner owns, or the value of your owner's equity, the value of your business at the end of the day, in terms of a sole proprietorship. Okay. Sorry, just I'll go back to my question. This side. Okay, awesome. Right, then the next thing in my table, being my trial balance, is accumulated depreciation on equipment, right? We know that accumulated depreciation on equipment usually is a reduction on property, plant, and equipment. We know already that we do have property, plant, and equipment in this question. Okay, so I'm already going to put it here. And I know that this is less accumulated depreciation. Okay, so already let's go and do this, right? Equals to, what assets do I have? I have property of 350,000. I have equipment at 34,000. Okay, do I have any other property? No, I don't see anything else. For me, it's just property and equipment, right? Then I need to minus accumulated depreciation. So minus 15,000 Rand. Okay, that's up until the end of my last financial period. And then what was my depreciation for the current period? So I'm then going to minus whatever depreciation I calculated at the top, which is the 1,900 Rand. And I now sit with property, plant, and equipment of 367,100. So what have I done? Added up all my properties, added up all of my assets and minus my accumulated depreciation up to the end of the current year. How do I get accumulation, or rather accumulated depreciation to the end of the year? It's up until last year plus this year's. Okay, and that's essentially what I've done. And I've gotten to the amount of 367,100. Awesome. Back to my trial balance. What do I have next? Commission income. It's not an asset, not a liability, not equity, it's income. I've already taken it into account in my profit calculation. Can I ignore it? Yes. Brilliant. Credit losses, same thing. It was an expense. I've already taken it into account in my profit. Move on. Property and equipment, I've already put that into my property, plant, and equipment calculation. So can I ignore it at this stage? Yes, I can. The next thing on my my trial balance now is bank. Okay, bank is a current asset. Why is it current? Actually, let's call it what it should be called: cash and cash equivalents. Why is it current? It's because it's money, right? Money is liquid. I'm able to utilize money in my business. I'm able to buy inventory, and when I sell my inventory, the money comes into my bank account. It's liquid, right? I'm using it every single day, meaning that it's current. It's not non-current, okay? Cash and cash equivalents, I don't remember there being any additional information about it, so I can go in and put my amount, 24,208. Okay, everyone with me thus far? And I do see Zara is on the ball with regards to questions in the chat, and I see some thumbs up going on there as well. So I'm happy, and I'm going to carry on. Okay. Trade receivables control. Absolutely. This is an asset. We've already discussed this when we were talking about trade receivables earlier on, right? Is it a non-current asset or a current asset? Trade receivables is a current asset. And the reason for that, again, is because I have debtors buying from me. They're buying inventory from me on a daily basis, every single day in my business. And therefore, my trade and other receivables would be changing as and when there's a sale made on credit. Okay. Therefore, it is a liquid asset and it's considered to be current. Okay. Trade and other receivables. Let's go back and think now, right? There were quite a few of these that related to trade and other receivables. I've already kind of made notes, so I can already see. Number one, absolutely, right? That's definitely, that has definitely been taken into account. Number one, we said that it was tenants owing 2 months of rent, and therefore they still owe us at year end. Brilliant. Let's do trade and other receivables. Equals to trade and other receivables as per my pre-adjustment trial balance, 26,100. 1.1, right? We already ascertained that that must be taken into account. So we're going to add 1,750 multiplied by 2 because it was for 2 months that this person owed us, right? What else was relating to debtors? Let's see. Where else did we put notes? That was payables. Debtors, 1.4, right? We said that this debtor disappeared and his amount of 2,650 had to be written off. Awesome. That's minus 2,650. Okay. What else was relating to trade and other receivables? Let's see. Sorry, I just want to. Okay. We have some other notes. Let's see. Not the depreciation. This was payables. Here we go. Debtors 1.7, right? Here we have expenses paid in advance, right? And we did say that expenses paid in advance is an asset. Okay. We paid for the month of April where we shouldn't have. This, according to my solution, if I remember correctly, was that 2,405 divided by 13. So we're going to add 2,405 divided by 13. Okay, and then I get to an amount of 27,135. And can you see that just by me having made notes as I was going through the additional information earlier, it was simple enough for me to go, okay, cool, yes, that one was debtors, that one was debtors, and this one was debtors. Hey, awesome. When I get to my statement of financial position, I'm already able to go in, look at what my current pre-adjustment trade debtors balance is, and then look at what adjustments need to be made, exactly how I did it with the profit, put it in here. So I added where the tenant still owed us money, minus where the debtor disappeared, and then added we overpaid for April, and we basically being owed that service now. So can you see how my trade receivables, in terms of calculating that, so easy, just because I already thought about it when I was going through this question earlier. Okay, everyone with me? Okay, awesome. All right, let's see. We spoke about trade receivables control. Interest on mortgage, that's an expense. We've already taken this into account in our profit calculation. Municipal taxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you just explain a little slower? Some of the students are getting a little bit lost. So
Okay, sure. No problem. Should I repeat anything? Sorry, I'm trying to see in the chat, but
can you repeat your trade receivables? Just the
sure, no
last
problem.
bit.
Okay, sure. Okay, so trade receivables, let's just go through that again. Okay, I start off my calculation with what I have. Okay, so what I have is my 26,100. We know though that there were some adjustments. And remember when we were doing the profit calculation at the top, we already kind of made note for ourselves in terms of what line items this could be affected, right? So we said 1.1 was debtors. If you recall, 1.1 said that there was a tenant who did not pay for March. I think for February and March, right? So he owed us 2 months worth of rental. So what we did there was we said 1,750 rand multiplied by 2, and I'm adding this to my debtors balance because this tenant still owes us the money, right? So I'm taking that 1,750 rand, which is the monthly rental amount, I'm multiplying it by 2, and I'm adding it to my debtors balance. Okay. Then as I went through my additional information, the other place that I made note with regards to debtors was 1.4. Okay, 1.4 mentioned that this debt disappeared, and he was owing us 2,650 rand, but he doesn't owe us that anymore because he's disappeared. We're not going to get that money. Okay, so unfortunately, because we're not going to get this money, there's no point in us recording it as a debtor. We might as well write it off. So now I go and I minus 2,650 rand from the debtors balance. Okay. Then the other area that we identified where debtors was impacted was 1.7. Here we said that the insurance premium for April was paid in advance. So I've paid you for April, but you have not yet given me my service for April, which means that you owe me. Either you're going to give me my service for April or you're going to give me my money back. Either way, it's an asset to me, right? Because it's an asset to me, I'm going to add that, right? And if you recall, the insurance premium amount, we needed to calculate the monthly amount for that. So we took the insurance, which was the 2,405, because that was for 13 months, we divided by 13, and that gives us 1 month's worth of insurance, which I'm now adding to my debtors balance because they owe us 1 month's worth of service. Okay. Sorry, I hope that was better or slower. Okay, cool. All right. Cool. I basically I stopped here with municipal taxes, insurance, right? Both of those were expenses. So they're not assets, not liabilities, not owner's equity. So I'm going to ignore both of these, right? Then mortgage. Mortgage is a non-current liability. Okay. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to put in long-term borrowings. Okay. Mortgage would form part of my long-term borrowings. My amount of my mortgage was 248,000. Was there any adjustments to this amount? No, there wasn't. And so that's the amount that goes into my statement of financial position. Okay. Back to my trial balance. The last thing there is water and electricity. That is an expense. It was taken into account in my profit calculation and therefore does not need to be taken into account in my statement of financial position. Okay. So now, cool. I had my structure. I had my skeleton. I know what my statement of financial position is supposed to look like. I've already added things in based on the question. And remember, I explained to you that assets is equals to owner's equity plus liabilities. that means that my statement of financial position needs to balance. Is it balancing? The answer is no. I'm out. I'm out by something. I'm missing either a liability or some form of equity, right? Let's think about this though. Remember when we went through our additional information, we were already making notes. We made notes about debtors. We also made notes about payables. So what's missing? What's missing is trade and other payables. Because if we said that these additional information or some things within the additional information is affecting our current liabilities, that means what I was missing here is a current liability, okay? And I clearly went and made a note of payables while I was going through my additional information, which means that that is the missing factor in this question, right? So let's go back and think about this. Commission income of 750 Rand was earned for April and May 2005. Starting point though, do I have any trade and other payables on my pre-adjustment trial balance? The answer is no. That was why we missed it. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, so I don't have anything currently sitting on my trial balance. I don't have a starting amount. Okay, 1.3 was the first time I came across payables. Commission income of 750 was earned for April and May 2012, equals to 750 Rand. Okay, that is money that I owe, right? Somebody paid me 750 Rand. I have not yet given them the service, which means that I owe them. It's a liability. So it's a trade and other payable to the value of 750 Rand. Okay. The other area where I identified payables was 1.6, right? 1.6 said that the water and electricity account for March 2005 amounting to 310 Rand had not yet been paid. This means that we still owe the municipality this money. We owe them. It's a liability. It's a current liability. Okay, so I add 310 Rand. Then the other area where I should have picked this up, and unfortunately I missed that when I was talking through it, is on number 1.8, right? It specifically says that interest per annum on the mortgage for March 2005 should still be provided for, meaning that I still owe the interest for March. That has not yet been taken into account. What was the interest there? Well, the interest was 2,170, and if I remember correctly, let's just go up and see. I know I did that calculation on the side. Do it again. Should have left it there. I do apologize. Times 10.5% times 1 divided by 12, 2,170. And that amount goes there because I still need to take that into account. It's still money that I owe to the bank because it has not yet been provided for. And therefore, I still owe them that 2,170 Rand. And that essentially becomes my trade and other payables amount. Now I take a step back. Assets equals to owner's equity plus liabilities. Total assets, 419,000. Total equity and liabilities, 419,000. Is my statement of financial position balancing? Yes, it is, which means I am good to go. And essentially, guys, that is your statement of financial position. Sure, I can explain trade and other payables again. Okay, so trade and other payables is a current liability. It's not sitting here in my pre-adjustment trial balance, as you would have seen, right? But we know that it needs to be here because when we went through the additional information, we picked it up. We picked up that there's some current liabilities here, and those relate to trade and other payables, right? The first time we came across it was with commission income. Okay, commission income of 750 Rand, right, was earned for April and May 2005. It was income received in advance, meaning that I'm not yet entitled to this income. I now owe this person money. I either owe them their money back or I owe them a service. Either way, I owe them. It's a liability, current liability. So I owe them services to the value of 750 Rand, which means that I record 750 Rand under trade and other payables. Okay. Water and electricity for the month of March. I have not paid the municipality. They've given me water and electricity, but I've not paid them. And the amount for March was 310 Rand. Because I still owe them, I add 310 Rand to trade and other payables. Okay. Interest on the mortgage. Okay. I did not pay the bank interest on mortgage for the month of March 2005. It was still outstanding as at year end when my trial balance was compiled. So I still need to take that amount into consideration, and therefore I add the 2,170 to my current liabilities. And that's how you get your trade and other payables amount of 3,230 Rand. Okay, I do see that there's quite a bit going on in the chat, and obviously because I'm speaking, I'm not able to keep track of that. I know Zara is trying her best on that side, but because we are done kind of going through this question, I did want to chat about, just how this was set up, just to reiterate, to show you that if you have a structure in mind and if you work through a question step by step, that it makes life a lot easier. So if you use this method for your assessments, I really think you're going to make your life a lot easier. I know the assessments are multiple choice, but regardless, right, those questions, I mean, I've seen some of them in the self-assessment function or the self-assessment tool. Those questions are detailed questions. You can't just go and, do a quick calculation on a calculator and hope to get your answer, right? You actually need to have a pen and a paper or an Excel spreadsheet if you're an IT junkie, and you prefer to work on the computer. But either way, you need to have somewhere where you can structure your answers and do your calculations so that you can actually answer that assessment. It's not meant to just be done on a calculator without a pen and paper, right? So again, whether it's study unit 15 or study unit 2, structure your answers. Think about what the required is asking. What does it want? What am I needed here? What is needed from me? And then just take a step back and think to yourself, okay, so I understand what's needed from me. How does this look on paper? What is it supposed to look like? So whether it's just a calculation or an actual statement, right? There's a specific, something is supposed to be in there. If it's a calculation, what does that calculation consist of? Cool. Now that I know what my calculation kind of needs to look like, I can already start saying, okay, let's start putting it down, right? And I used to do that when I was studying. Sometimes my calculations were in the form of journals, right? So if you understand it by doing the journal, then do the journal, write it down, actually put it down on paper, write out the journal, make it make sense to you. And that's your answer at the end of the day. If your answer is a balancing amount on the journal, do the journal, write it down, okay? If your answer is a balancing amount on a T account, draw up the T account, put it down on paper, structure your answer, think about what it needs to look like, and then do it. And you'll see that as you work through the questions in a more structured manner, the way that you answer your self-assessments becomes so much easier. Yeah. But yeah, Joseph, I am ready at this point to take some questions, if they would still want to unmute and ask me. So maybe we can do that.
I think it's perfect. Let's wait for them. I don't see any hand now. I think the first one is Glory.
Okay. Hi, Glory.
Yeah, Gloria.
Is it Gloria or Glory?
Oh, sorry.
Hello, everyone. It's Rufumelo. Okay, Glory is fine also. Hello, everyone. I actually have a question. I did put it on the chat, but I think maybe Ms. Zaire is not understanding what I'm trying to say. On point 1.3, that's like, I think I missed that one because I don't understand like the commission income. How do I tell that it's trade and other payables? Because we had like the commission income for 2.7, right? So here when we put on current liabilities, I don't understand why it has to go there. I don't know, but I don't understand it. I didn't put it there.
Okay,
And
so
yes, my thing wasn't balancing.
Okay.
But now I see how you do it, but I don't think I'll be able to pick it up. Let's say if you didn't if you didn't do this exercise. So I just want to know, how do I tell? Because on additional information, they don't tell us that it's the amount that we have to, or we haven't provided the services yet. I don't
Okay,
know if
but
I'm making sense.
you are making sense. Remember that what's given to us here at the top, and it's specifically mentioned in the question, it says that they're giving us the general ledger, basically your trial balance, right? Before any adjustments were made. So what's here is basically what the accountant had, just raw data. It was just raw data in the system, and this accountant took those amounts and put it into this table. That's what he's done, right? And it specifically says this was pre-adjustment. So we still need to go and look at additional information and kind of adjust these amounts. So now we need to process these adjustments, right? And our additional information clearly tells us that we have commission income of 750 Rand, which was being earned for April and May. Remember, April and May is outside of my financial period. My financial period ends at the end of 31 March, right? So some brilliant person out there, let's give an example and say that I sell something, Zahira, Zahira comes and she says, listen, Zmira, I'm going to give you 2 months worth of services. Here's the money for it. Yeah, like I'm paying you, we'll sort it out, right? So that means I owe her now, okay? I owe her is at year end 31 March. I owe her because she's paying me for April and May. So at 31 March, I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, I haven't yet given you the service. I owe you. What does that mean? It means that I have a liability. That if in April and May, when April and May comes, if I'm not able to give Sarah the service, I need to refund her money. So I owe her 750 Rand worth of services, or I owe her money back. And that's where the additional information comes in, where we now say, okay, commission income is, as per the pre-adjustment trial balance, it is 2,700 Rand. But a part of that, being the 750 Rand, does not relate to the current financial year. It relates to next year. And so therefore, we need to minus it from commission income. And because it's a liability, it gets added to my liabilities.
Thank you so much. I get it. Thank you.
Pleasure. If you want to see the journal for that, actually, the journal would look, because it's a liability, right? And we are adding it to a liability. So I would credit my liabilities. I'm going to credit my liabilities, which is my trade and other payables, and I would debit my expense. Sorry, my income. Sorry. Okay, so I'm reducing my income with 750 Rand, but I'm adding to my liabilities of 750 Rand. And this is another thing that I was saying to you guys. If a calculation looks like a journal to you, then by all means, write it down as a journal. Yeah.
Okay.
The second one is I Baker.
Good evening.
Hi.
Nazir, I need to ask you a question about comprehensive income for the
Sorry,
year.
I'm struggling to hear you, and I don't know if it's just me, but if you can please repeat.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said I need to know about in the comprehensive income or loss, the other comprehensive income for the year. So actually, how you like this is an other comprehensive income.
Sorry, I think I've lost you again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
please maybe come closer?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Very well.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
talk into your speaker, I think.
Okay. I said, what happened with other comprehensive income? What will I know and what actually what the commission for
Sure, I'm struggling to hear you, eh?
Yeah,
Okay,
can you not?
Let me try to put the headset. Maybe it's gonna help.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
No,
Oops. Okay.
it's getting better.
Now I'm okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I said I'm referring to other comprehensive income. So actually, which amounts do we put there in case if you've been asked a question and you find maybe you have to put the other comprehensive income. So what is the comprehensive income?
I'm so sorry to do
No,
this.
Zera, I heard it. No, Zera, I heard it. It was very faint, but I heard it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if this is explained in the tutorial letter.
Yes. Sorry, before you answer the
Sure.
guy, can you please maybe repeat his question for everybody
Sure.
so that everyone will know?
Sure. So I think the question that's coming through here is in this question there is no other comprehensive income, but I think the question that's being asked is what are some of the things that could be seen here, because they might have a question where there is something relating to other comprehensive income and they obviously need to know that this is now other comprehensive income. So I think what the question is specifically saying is what are they expecting to see that's other comprehensive income. And it's why now I'm alluding back to the tutorial letter, because I'm not 100% sure that it's explained in the tutorial letter. I actually can't remember. But other comprehensive income, just at the top of my head, some examples there is when you have a revaluation of property. Revaluation of property sometimes is taken into account in other comprehensive income. Dependent also, because if your property is carried at fair value, then it's taken into account in income and expenses. If it's carried at carrying amount and there was a revaluation to that, it would then be taken into account in other comprehensive income. You also see items coming into other comprehensive income when you deal with foreign exchange. So you might have a foreign exchange income or foreign exchange loss, and those are also some of the things you see there. But I have a strong feeling, and maybe the lecturer can help me here. I have a strong feeling that that's not something that is taken into too much of detail in you guys' tutorial letter. So maybe the lecturer can come in and help me here.
Unmute yourself, Mr.
Good evening. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Yes, other comprehensive income will not form part of this module. Maybe in second year, yeah, they will find other comprehensive income for FAC 1502. Yeah, other comprehensive income will not form part of FAC 1502 module.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that explanation. So yeah, let's just for our purposes remove it and forget about it and forget it exists.
Okay, we have another question from Dashinga.
Okay, hello everyone. I just wanted some clarity on the income statement. So basically, do we calculate as our income and expenses for our current financial year, which means when we do the adjustments, we're subtracting anything that is prepaid and adding anything that's accrued, right?
So what I'm going to say to you is think about it logically. Yes, to answer your question, yes, you only take into account what's relevant for the current financial year. Your current financial year is 1 April 2004 to 31 March 2005. When I used to do accounting, back when I just started doing accounting, what I used to always find helpful was at the top of my page, I would draw a timeline. Like I would literally just draw a line and then, write there 1 April 2004 to 31 March 2005. And then if there's any dates like in the additional information that fall outside of that period, I know already, oh, wait, hold on, I need to think about this. Let me just think about what's going on here. And we might say, okay, if I'm still owing that amount at year end, yes, that's a liability. But now you go, income received in advance, right? That's sometimes a difficult concept to swallow in terms of understanding why it's a creditor, which is why I'm saying to you, take a step back and just think about it logically, right? Like that example that I gave to you. If Zera decides I'm giving Nismira money, right, for April and May. But I know that my accounting period is up until 31 March. It means that at 31 March, Zara has given me money, but I have not given her a service. So yes, it's a liability. And yes, I need to remove it from my revenue. So kind of think about your period, and then, you know, as you read that additional information, just think about it logically.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
That's all the questions that there is. Anybody else would like to ask a question?
Sarah, was there anything in the chat that you perhaps weren't able to answer, or anyone wanted me to repeat, or anything like that?
Yeah, so there was some things on property. Somebody asked to repeat property, but they're not saying what they don't understand in the property, calculation. So I don't know if you would like to go through the entire thing again for them.
Okay, well, considering there's no other hands, maybe I can try and explain it in a different way. So, I mean, what we do here is we say PPE, PPE minus accumulated depreciation, right? So just doing this the long way now, if that's what I'm doing, right? I'm basically saying, what is my PPE, or property, plant, and equipment for that matter? It's property, which I have, of 350,000, plus equipment at cost of 34,000. Yeah, that's my total property at fair value or at cost, right? Now I need to minus my accumulated depreciation. I know I have accumulated depreciation up until 31 March 2004 to the amount of 15,000. This year, my depreciation on my equipment was 1,900, right? So now, if I say PPE minus accumulated depreciation, I get to the amount of 3,671.
Okay. Are you guys happy with that? Okay. To the business. Okay. So there's another one that says, I thought stationery was an expense to the business, but I see we added it on the balance sheet as an asset. I'm quite confused.
So I'm going to ask on this one, Patricia, were you on the call when we were doing the profit, the profit calculation in part A? Because I went into quite a bit of detail, and I think I explained it about 3 times. So if you weren't on the call, what I suggest is maybe check the recording afterwards, just because I think I repeated it about 3 times. So I want to be fair to everyone on the call. But if you weren't on the call and still want me to re-explain, then just let me know.
Okay, the next question is, in property, plant, and equipment, what is plant considered as? So plant is generally stuff like your machinery, and yeah, I think that's all I can think of that would be regarded as plant.
Yeah, I think plant is more when you have a manufacturing entity, you usually see a lot of plant, which is those manufacturing machines.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so Patricia was not on the call when you explained the inventory stationery situation. So can we please ask you to please go back to the recording and listen to it carefully, try to understand it. If you then still have any questions, please post your questions on your eTutor website. Your eTutor should be able to assist you. If you are not getting any joy there, then maybe ask one of the lecturers also. But most of the time, the eTutors definitely do respond and explain quite well. Okay. What else?
You see the question about the recordings. I know that the recordings are posted on the main FAC 1502 site. I do know that the e-tutors have been instructed to repost these on, or these announcements rather, on the individual e-tutor sites. I know I've been doing that. I think Sarah, I know you've been doing that as well. So you should be able to find it in your e-tutor site. If not, then definitely on the main site in the announcements.
And the lecturer has posted the link to the YouTube website. The YouTube website has all the recordings as well. Okay. There's a question, why was 1.7 added to the trade and other receivables and not prepayments? Okay.
Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to saying, think about this logically, okay? It says here, the insurance premium for April 2005 was paid in advance. So my year end ends 31 March. If I am literally sitting on the 31st of March and saying, year outsurance, you can take my money in advance. I'm going to pay you for April. I'm sitting on the 31st of March and I'm saying, year outsurance, take the money from April, right? Does outsurance not then owe me money? So either they owe me the service, so they need to insure me for April. And if they're not insuring me for April, they owe me the money back. Either way, they owe me now. I've given them the money. Now it's up to them. They owe me. They either owe me a service or they owe me my money back, right? But I'm the one who's being owed something, which means that I have an asset. And this is why I'm saying to you guys, yes, it was a prepayment. So as soon as we think payment, we think our liability, right? But we need to take a step back and think about it logically. It was paid in advance. That means that somebody owes me something. Outsurance now. Owes me something, which means that I have an asset. And that's a current asset that goes into trade and other receivables because I need to be able to receive something. I'm either receiving a service or I'm receiving my money back. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, can you please get the recordings on YouTube? Huh? There's no, wait, sorry about that. Yes.
No problem.
Is there a recording for study unit 14 and 16? Yes, on YouTube, there is no recordings for study unit 12, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so for study units 14 and 16, there's classes have not yet taken place. This year is study unit 15, so the recording will only go up probably tomorrow or by the weekend. With regard to study unit 12, let me just check if a class has taken place. I do not see a class having taken place for study unit 12 either. And yes, there is a recording for study unit 9, which has been posted already. So I think study unit 12, the recording is still going to go up depending on when the class took place. I don't see the class. I will find out from one of the lecturers for you, unless the lecturer can respond now.
Hi.
Right?
There will be no class on study unit 12 and the other study unit.
14.
Yeah, there will be no class on study unit 12 and 14.
Okay. Can we maybe get an indication as to why there won't be a class on it?
Because we did class on study unit. We did class on current liabilities and current assets, and study unit 12 and 14 is non-current assets and non-current liability, and it's a short study unit. Student can work on Yeah, it's a shorts that you need.
Okay, guys, so you basically have to go through it yourselves. And if you have any questions on things that you don't understand, you would need to ask your e-tutor. Please post and please keep up to date with your specific e-tutor sites. You are assigned a specific e-tutor and we are here to help you guys. But if you are not specific and you don't ask questions, it's very difficult for us to help you. Okay, and then I can't find the recording for study unit 10 on YouTube. Okay. Let me see if I can find anything on 10. I do not see anything on 10 either.
Zara, while you're looking for that, I think there was another question that we might have missed in between, but I kind of saw it. There was a question from Ernest to please do the property, plant and equipment note for this specific question, and I quickly just drew it up for him very quickly. And I want to kind of go back to what I was saying previously is, when you guys are structuring your questions, do it in the way that you feel more comfortable with. Like I said, if it means that you need to do your calculations as journals because that's what you understand best, do that. If you understand your calculations by doing the PPE note, then do that. If you understand by doing a T account, do that, right? So I've obviously explained by kind of doing a one line item calculation. But if you understand it differently, by all means, do it in that way because, don't force yourself to do it the way everybody else does it or somebody else might do it. Do it the way that you understand. Structure your answers in a manner that you understand, in a manner that's easier for you to grasp the concepts. And you can easily see that I've just now done the PPE note and it's exactly the same as my calculation, right? So if you understand it like this, by all means, do it like this. Sorry, Zara, just want to put that there.
Yeah. Thanks, Naz. Ernest, are you good? Do you understand? Do you need us to go through it in further detail?
I think we have another last hand.
Yes, we have one more hand that is Choku.
Chokwe, yes.
Sorry if I mispronounced. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. I was asking about the links for YouTube. I see there are some links sent here, so I was still looking if the YouTube is there. I did get the help, the link was sent, but I don't see the YouTube.
It has been responded to now. Okay, 2 hours is not enough to complete assessments, at least for me. Could you please allow us more time to complete assessments as we are still learning? I feel the assessments are testing speed and not understanding. Unfortunately, this is not something we can address as e-tutors. We don't set any of the assessments. There is a requirement by the lecturers in the university, and they also have standards and regulations that they need to keep up with. At the end of the day, you need to understand that in the workplace, you must remember these modules are getting you prepared for the workplace. And at the workplace, you don't have hours and hours to complete something. They give you deadlines and you need to stick to those deadlines. And that is unfortunately the reality of the working world. And you need to some extent, deal with that. You need to learn to be faster. And the only way you can be faster is if you practice.
So if I wanted to come in there and say the same thing, and sorry, as I was scrolling up now, just while you were answering about the YouTube links, etc. There was a question that we also seem to have missed, that somebody asked, saying that it's the first time they're doing accounting, and is there any just general tips? And I think I almost want to speak to that by saying as well, what you're saying now is practice makes perfect. The more questions you practice, the faster you'll get and the easier you'll be able to learn these concepts. And I gave somebody else some comments in terms of time management, etc., on my e-tutor site. And I think, when you study, it's not just about understanding the content or the concepts. There's a level of study techniques and exam techniques that one needs to master as well. And I'll just give you my own experience. When I was studying, I failed my postgrad the first time, and when I went back the next year, I literally said to the lecturer who was helping me, I don't know what more to study, because I know the content, I know the stuff. I don't know what more to do. And we went in and we delved, okay, what is the problem area then? So we looked at my exams, what was I struggling with? And it was literally my technique, my study technique, my exam technique. There's a lot of soft skills that go into this as well. It's not just about learning how to calculate properly planned equipment. It's also about the practice that goes into it. And the only way you can master that is by doing, I'm echoing now, is by doing the questions, doing them over and over, going through your tutorial letters and making time to actually do that. And for me, practice makes perfect. We have to be deliberate about our study time. And I was saying to someone else as well, there's no point in you setting out 3 hours of study time and you sit down and you're like, no, I have to study for 3 hours, if you know that you're not the kind of person who can focus for 3 hours. If that's the case, then that 3 hours is going to be completely pointless. I used to have to study in chunks. I used to study for an hour, then go do something else, then come back, study again, then go do something else, come back, study again. You need to study in a way that works for you. If you are difficult and hard on yourself, you're not going to learn anything. You're just going to sit there in front of your books and you are going to waste time, if I can say. So study at times of the day that you know are going to be the most productive. Study and take breaks in between, because if you're just sitting there and staring at your books, you're not helping yourself as well. So it's those kind of little things that help the study technique, but also helps you to be faster and helps you to grasp concepts more easily. With regards to accounting and any tips that I can give you for that, accounting is a very complex and very detailed subject. And honestly, again, I'm going to go back to just study your study units, do as many questions as you can. And that's really the only thing that helped me, I know, when I was studying. Sorry, Zara, to cut you off there, but I kind of wanted to address both those questions at the same time.
No, cool. That is perfect, Niz. Thanks. Choku, I don't know if it's your old hand or is it your hand again up, but please ask.
Okay, it's another question. As one of our tutors was speaking about studying and everything, I was just wondering, sometimes we do like to study, like sometimes we can meet as 5 students from this group, sometimes, or 10. We will just be there for 2 hours struggling because we are new in accounting. So I don't know who can, like, most of the time we contact, let's say we are on Saturday discussion, we are connecting online, we have a question paper. Because we are new, we are just stuck. So I don't know, what advice can you give us? And the second question is that there are workshops. So there are people there directing us at workshop. Are there UNISA workshops? Can we contact those people to come and just help us in maybe group of 5, group of 6, because that's what we do maybe every Saturdays.
I'm not sure on the second part of your question, and I'm going to ask the lecturers to please help out there. But just really with regards to the first part of your question, I think that's what we as e-tutors are there for, in all honesty. That's the point of having e-tutors, and that's our objective, is to help you guys and be there to assist you. But at the same time, this is UNISA, it's a correspondence school, right? We've opted to study through correspondence, and by doing this more as a, kind of without the everyday lecture situation. And that's where we come in, is that we come in as e-tutors to help you, but at the same time, limited in the sense that we can help you via my UNISA, right? And we're not going to have daily lectures like your other universities would have. But the thing is, for us to help you effectively, I've gotten questions on my e-tutor site, like, I don't understand accounting, please help me. And now I sit and I go, I don't know how to help you. Like, tell me what you're struggling with, right? And some of the questions that we were seeing today was good, because you specifically saying, I don't know how you calculated depreciation here. Please go back and help me to understand how you calculated the depreciation on equipment. If you type a message like that to me on the eTutor website, I'm definitely going to give you an answer. I'm going to help you to understand it. It's easy for me to reply to that specific question. But when I get open-ended, vague questions, like, I don't understand study unit 15 eTutor question, please help. I mean, this question is huge, right? There's so many concepts in this question. I can't help you in a chat, right? So I think my advice here is, in order for you to utilize the resources that you have, like the eTutor websites, is for you to first do the question yourself, understand what it is that you are struggling with, and then come and say, listen, please help me with this specific concept because I'm not getting it. Then it's easy. But if we as eTutors get open-ended questions, it's impossible for us to help you.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you, everyone.
On the second part of the question, I mean, in fact, there are no workshops currently from our side, from UNISA. But if there is anything, it would be mentioned on the announcement. So really, there is nothing at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, on that, the reason why I'm asking is because every week there is a workshop. Like the one that we attended yesterday was hosted by Wisani Baloy. She said is part of UNISA. Is part of UNISA. So that's what I was just asking, that I don't know, it was not on what do you call announcement, but it was on emails.
But
so
is the person you're talking about a lecturer in FAC 1502?
Yes, she said she's not a lecturer because I actually raised my hand and asked. She said we are part of UNISA. Like if students don't
she's
have
not a
topics
lecturer.
Yeah, because I asked in the class, remember it was a class, it was full of FAC students, and I asked her, is this a UNISA? She said, yes, it's organized by TAPEL or whatever, it's for UNISA. So how it works, I asked her, how do we send questions? He said, if we send questions, she makes appointment and everything. And that's why I was asking, but the message is from the workshop. It's hosted by Wisani. She said she's part of FAC.
Let me hear from my colleague. Maybe he knows something.
Mr. Stolle.
Yeah, actually, I'm listening. We don't have the name. Is that the Wisani? What is the surname?
One from KZN. Not sure.
No,
I don't know, but they seem to be it was posted on WhatsApp. So now when it is posted on WhatsApp, we believe it's part of UNISA. So that's why I'm asking, can we contact her so that we are doing the right thing? Not that I'm reporting her, because I think the way she explained, she is telling the truth, that she's part of FAC. When you don't understand topic, UNISA organize them to come and assist.
Okay, where are you based? Because I know that they are academic facilitators, but where are you based?
I'm in Johannesburg, but the link is on our FAC group.
So do you pay for that?
No, I didn't pay, because when there is a link, I just joined there.
So can I just come in?
Yeah.
Sorry. I think maybe the other lecturer, Ms. Clara, indicated that eTutors can have one-on-one sessions with students and post the links for, other students if they want. So maybe the specific eTutor decided to have a class for, one of the specific topics. So I don't think we can just write it off as, an external person completely. I think we need to just investigate to find out maybe this person was doing it out of the goodness of their heart. You know, they tried to help. So, yeah, maybe we should just try to investigate. But can you please give us the proper name, the full name and surname of the person that presented the class? So we can also make sure on our side that the students are not just being, you know, given classes and wrong information is being shared with as well.
Yeah, Zahira, we were aware there are a lot of third-party people who are coming to sort of assist UNISA students, and some of them, they make these students to pay. And I think this is one of the things that is confusing students, because somehow these third-party individuals, they have access to students' numbers, I don't know how, or contacts, sorry. So that Wisani, I know most of the e-tutors by surname, if maybe the student can give me the name, but I'm aware what Ms. Msiza, the lecturer, has said that, but it's only, say, for example, you have a student in your group, then the student is requesting to have a one-on-one session, whether via MS Teams. Yes, you can arrange that, but those students are students which are in your group.
Yes.
So I'm not exactly sure what's happening with it, because even if that Wisani was an e-tutor, the lecturers should be aware of her. So if they are not aware, then I also do not know.
Yeah, this okay. Yeah. The surname is Baloi, and she said we don't pay.
Baloi. Okay, we'll have to check that. But as an advice, please, anything that you need regarding the content of this module, please engage the lectures and your e-tutors so that then you don't get lost. Well, regarding the other matter where you said you are a group of 5 students, you normally meet and you study accounting together, what we can do from our end is to probably maybe link you to one e-tutor. Then if you then want to have a session with the e-tutor, then you can make an arrangement with the e-tutor. If then the e-tutor is available to assist you on that particular day or that time, then the tutor will indicate to you to have that session. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
So yeah, that's the only thing that we can assist if you study as a group.
Okay, thank you very much. I will send an email just to remind you and everything.
Yeah, basically what you do, I'm sure you do have my email, or you can send it to the lectures. You just send your student numbers and the request that you want to be linked to one e-tutor, and then we'll link you. But then I'm not sure, because remember, e-tutors work differently. You can be grouped with one e-tutor, the other ones can be grouped with another e-tutor. So we'll just have to decide which e-tutor do we allocate to as a group.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, there was another hand that was Mawewe Oliver, I think, but I'm not sure if we still have another, if we have another question there. Are you good, Oliver? Okay, so I'm gonna go with silence means consent here. And guys, thank you so much for attending this class. We really appreciate that you've taken the time out to attend. It shows that you also have interest in, you know, furthering your studies and making good progress. So thanks, guys, and we shall see you soon. Or via our e-tutor sites, basically ask your questions and help out. Oh, sorry, Mawewe says my mic is grayed out. Okay, could you ask your question in the chat and then I will say it out loud and we will respond accordingly?
Maybe if you can raise the hand so that we are able to see. Okay, Mawayo Oliver, let me see. Allow the mic. Yeah, then you can speak.
Okay, he's raised his hand. Okay.
Mawayo, you can unmute and speak.
For some
Oliver,
reason,
you can unmute and speak. I've allowed you to speak. Just unmute yourself and speak.
I don't think he's able to.
Okay, but I did activate, allow the student to speak.
Sorry. It is still logged. I'm not sure what that means. I think maybe you mean it's still locked. But I cannot unmute you, unfortunately, from my side. Let's see if I can make your presenter.
Is it Oliver?
Yeah, it's Oliver.
Yes.
Let's see. Allow mic. Let the student unmute herself then from their side.
They
Yes.
are not able to unmute themselves from their side.
Oh no, then it's a problem.
Yeah, now I can unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Oliver, you can go ahead.
No, actually, I wanted to maybe clarify what Togo was talking about concerning Wisani Baloyi. I believe Wisani Baloyi, she was organized by Thabo from Cape Town, if I'm not mistaken. Like Ismail, as she was presenting here. She's not an e-tutor or a lecturer from UNISA.
Okay, so Nazmira, if you're referring to Nazmira Ismail, she is a e-tutor from UNISA. She's just also a training lecturer at BDO. But she is contracted to UNISA as an e-tutor, just to clarify that.
No, okay, I don't know the person that they are talking about. I would repeat once again, if you don't get anything from the official mailbox from the lectures or anything from the UNISA regional office, then I wouldn't advise you to attend those sessions. Because if the person was based in Paru's office, for example, colleagues that side would have communicated with us. Like I indicated earlier that we do have academic literacy facilitators. Some of them, they do assist with some of our modules, but the lecturers are aware of those people. So the two people that you're talking about, I do not know them. So as an advice, please only focus on what the lecturers are communicating with you and your e-tutor. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Once again, we are out of time. If you do have any questions, please post them on your e-tutor site. Make use of it. You pay for it, so make use of it. All right. And have a good evening, everybody. Take care and bye.
Okay, thank you very much, Zahira and Nazmira. It was a good session. Thank you very much.
Then
Hey, everyone can.
The meeting is adjourned.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Marisan, you can stop the recording. Then